That's where me as a DM, I go, and rule zero. Now, there is a point in which you do have to argue with the DM. I've been on both sides of this. And it's one thing to have a civil disagreement. It's another thing to say, well, actually, the book says on page 347 of this specific edition that you have to run it this way, when we've never run into this edge case up until this point. Then I'm going to get grumpy. That's where me as a DM, I go, and rule zero, nixing that.
And also challenging a DM at the table in front of, like, think of it this way, like, yes, your DM is your friend, but they're also kind of the guide through this. So being a player to challenge a DM in front of all of the other players and arguing with them openly, number one, takes away from playtime, but also number two, kind of like is not respectful. So setting those boundaries before you sit down at a table together, like, hey, if you have a really rough problem with me during our playtime, either use whatever our group safe word is so we can step aside and have a private conversation if it cannot wait, or wait until after the session to have a conversation about it. So knowing what those boundaries are ahead of time, which we'll talk about next session, next podcast, a little bit more. But being able to set that up ahead of time is really important.
And like I said, there's a difference between very politely going, hey, DM, real quick, I just wanted to double check against something. And if it doesn't resolve it with that one question, that's when it needs to become a conversation. It needs to be a conversation, not an argument. Because now you're not arguing with the DM. You're stating, hey, DM, I remembered we experienced X over here, and now you're saying Y over here. Am I missing a detail? Now you're not arguing. You're not putting your friend on the spot. You're not embarrassing your friend. You're just saying, hey, I'm missing a vibe here. And if it's going to take more than a quick, oh, you're right, I forgot, let us use that original ruling as precedent. If it's going to be more than that, then yes, that's when we need to pause, step away, and have a conversation. But I'm okay with a very brief, very polite, hey, real quick. That's really going to, again, come down to the vibe of your tables.